I'm Peter. We got my co-host Rob with me. How you doing today, Rob?
I'm doing good, man. Teaching's pretty much over.
Yes, sir.
Next week's the last week of school. Got my final evaluation. Things they went good this year. But I'm really
Excellent.
looking forward to the summer, and I'm probably gonna go check out this. So there's this place in Ann Arbor. It's called Mr. Spots.
Yeah, I've heard of it. Legendary.
It's a very legendary spot on Michigan's campus. They have really good Philly cheesesteaks. So I may have to go check it out soon.
Dude, yes, please. I might have to join you for that one. That'd be epic. Have you been to any other places recently, or is that kind of the
Uh
next one on the docket?
I went to Ricky Subs.
Okay.
It's in Dearborn. It's pretty good. I'm a bread person, and the bread on that Philly cheesesteak, it kind of didn't live at the par. It's that bread where
Mm.
you put your fingertips on it. It kind of like comes off a bit.
Oh, that doesn't sound the most appetizing.
Well, no, the meat was good, but
I'm sure. Okay, that's good. At least have some redeeming qualities.
yeah,
That's good. That's good to
I
hear.
you know what? If it wasn't for the bread, it'd be an easy 8.5. It'd be an easy 8, but I give it 7.5.
7.5 out of 10. All right. I follow that. I got you. Well, we got some interesting topics today here. Penn State and James Franklin under fire. A lawsuit was settled today by a jury. We'll get into that first and foremost, but we got some other topics as well. There was some serious medical, disparities between him and the former doctor on the staff that was actually fired back in 2019. So it's kind of wild that it took this long to come out. Um, we've got Ohio State's most painful loss of our lifetime. That's going to be a little hard to revisit. We'll talk about that at the end of the show. In between, is Ohio State buying the championship? A potential championship. All the rivals are saying it. We got some serious thoughts on that one. And then, of course, the Clemson Georgia line came out yesterday. Georgia favored by 13. We'll get to that one, in a little bit. But before those topics come, we want to discuss James Franklin and how he's come under fire today. Now, this doctor was on staff from 2014 to 2019. That was when Franklin was hired. Franklin brought him in, and he disagreed with decisions of playing whether to have surgery or not. But the biggest thing that Franklin is under fire for is that a player unfortunately attempted to take his life, was admitted to a psych ward, and James Franklin um, wanted him off of scholarship so another scholarship could be freed up for a future incoming player. Now, that's despicable in and of itself. A tiny bit of saving grace is that the scholar he would be more like a walk on, and his tuition would still be paid. He just won't be on the football team anymore. He would be medically disqualified essentially. Give me your initial thoughts on the story. There's more to it. I'll go in all that detail as we go along. But what do you think, man?
Well, man, first and foremost, I think that's terrible that he's going against the team's medical doctor
Sure.
to sit players, and Franklin rather had those players play. That reminds have you ever seen the movie Varsity Blues?
Yeah, yeah, a long time ago
Yeah,
though.
it's about so basically this high school coach goes against doctor's orders. If they have like a sprained ankle or something around their knee, they just give them the old steroid shot so they can play.
Steroids, rub some dirt on it.
They give him the steroid shot they play, and then it just ends up so much worse. But to me, I think that should be a fireable offense because you know what, James Franklin is not there to make those type of decisions. He's
Right.
not there to go against the team's medical doctor. He's not like that's not his expertise. His expertise is to be the head football coach of the Penn State Nittany Lions, and sometimes I wonder if that should be his expertise in the first place. But that's for a different story. But that just I'm sorry, he should be fired. He should be fired. Who knows what could happen to those players that he said, "Oh, they're fine. We're not going to listen to this doctor. He doesn't know
Sure.
what he's talking about." Like you're putting games, you're putting possible wins
Mhm.
above the well-being of a student athlete,
Yeah. You're
essentially still a young adult,
He's
basically still.
putting his own interests above the best interests of the player and,
Oh,
above a
definitely
medical doctor's opinion.
his own selfish ambitions, dude.
Yeah, yeah. No, he's saying my job is more important than the health of this young player, than the mental health of this specific young player, obviously unmentioned, um, who attempted his life. The one big deal was a shoulder surgery that was going to go down. That the all the medical staff, not just this Dr. Lynch recommended, but the entire medical staff recommended he have it. And Franklin stormed into the player's room, and he vehemently disagreed and said, "You will not begin this surgery. You will be playing." And wow, I
How
mean,
do you
deck on.
how do you make though as a coach, as someone who has been entrusted with these young men, these
Yeah,
young athletes, how can you go in there and make those type of decisions?
it's really outrageous to be honest, and it disgusts me. I agree with you. It is a fireable offense. I think he's going to come under some serious scrutiny. This doctor was awarded the $5.25 million
So
by the jury.
what that tells me, that is an admission of guilt. That's
Right.
guilt.
Now here is the caveat that could change things for Franklin, though. And this, we haven't talked about this yet, but um, this was a NCAA. Lynch wants an NCAA investigation to be launched, but a 2016 NCAA policy instated that the NCAA cannot interfere with medical decisions and have nothing to do with medical decisions. It's completely independent. That policy was passed in 2016, and so that's the only potential saving grace for Franklin if he's hoping to keep his job, in my humble opinion, because otherwise, it's all looking bad for James.
I don't know, man. I think coaches have been fired for, I mean, less worse, and this is just terrible.
No, I agree. I mean, you're talking about the Mel Tucker situation, obviously, last year. That was a despicable situation, but it seemed to be, unfortunately, between two consenting adults.
Yeah,
Um, and Northwestern's Pat Fitzgerald for the hazing. That was an
Asian.
interesting
Yeah,
situation too. I think he got scapegoated in that one. To be honest, that's a whole different topic. But I
yeah.
think I think he was wrong. I think Pat was wrongfully fired in that one. But on this particular case, you're correct, man. A lot of coaches have been fired for less. And if Penn State is only 12 years removed from the Sandusky saga that went down, obviously, probably the worst football scandal in all of college football history.
Oh
Um,
yeah, definitely.
but if the university wants to come away looking okay through this and unscathed and not be under the national media spotlight again,
They need to
James
fire.
might be have to be gone, bro.
Yeah,
He
right.
truthfully might.
I
Um,
mean, and the whole thing with the young player who ended up at the psych ward,
mhm,
like he should definitely be fired. I mean, that is just, there's no excuse. That is
right,
horrendous. I mean,
right.
you're about to take away from a scholarship from someone who had a very traumatic experience.
Seriously, bro.
Someone who has dealt with depression and just other things like that. That's a traumatic experience. First
It's
off, that person's life may not never be the same. But not only that, you're gonna kick someone while they're down, try to take away their scholarship. Like,
well, it's a complete disregard for the athlete as a human being. You know, um, it completely dehumanizes him a little bit. It It really kind of reveals a lot of character and the lack of character that James Franklin has. I mean,
Oh yeah,
a lot of the
James
stigmas.
Franklin is an arrogant. I'm sorry. This is the only time I'm gonna swear online. He's an arrogant, pompous ass,
I don't disagree, man. He's proven it time and time again. This is just yet another black mark on his
dude.
record.
I think it was 2017
Okay,
where they were interviewing him after I forgot who were they playing, but they asked him about Ohio State. He didn't answer. He was acting like he didn't have to play his team didn't have to play Ohio State the following week. And that was the year where JT Barrett helped the team storm back and they won.
ultimate comeback in the horseshoe in
Yeah.
2017.
So
One of
yeah,
my favorite Buckeye memories. But yeah, he's extremely pompous. He's very entitled. Um, he has led them to a couple 10-win seasons, but it's clear that he puts his own ambitions and his own career over what he promised to his
you know
players,
what?
that his players' parents, that he'd take care of them.
I'm gonna predict something that may happen. And you know what? James Franklin better pray it doesn't.
What you
I
got?
wonder if players are going to start talking out about whoever has had that negative experience with James Franklin.
Yeah,
Kind of like the hazing thing. Once one person came forward, then all these other athletes came forward about the hazing. I wonder if the same thing's going to happen for
snowball
James
effect.
Franklin.
It could potentially be a snowball effect for him. This has the potential to get very bad because honestly, the college football season, there's not a ton of news going on in this in the month of May leading into June,
Oh,
and this is a story that they could fix their eyes on, the national media, and it has the potential to get really ugly for the Nittany Lions. I know former players testified in this trial. It was a 7-day trial, and former coaches testified. Franklin himself did not testify. There's some statute of limitations where he didn't have to. Um, but yeah, and as well as former medical staff, they all testified against him in the 7-day trial. And as we talked about previously, the judge was awarded the 5.25 million, and his Penn State's reasoning for the firing. This is what they gave. They said this is kind of odd situation anyway, but they said you live 100 miles away. It's a 100-mile commute each day for you to come in from Hershey, Pennsylvania, and we want someone that's more local. That's the reasoning Penn State gave. Jury didn't buy it,
they have not
clearly.
learned from the past mistakes.
No, trying to cover up and hide things, bro. His reason obviously was that he challenged Franklin and that he complained about Franklin. He literally sent emails to the president of the university and to the head of the athletic department as well and challenged him. And Franklin confronted him on it, basically. And they chose football over this doctor because
Yep, just like
what's
they
more
chose
visible?
football over the last thing that happened with Penn State. We're not.
Right.
Yeah.
No lessons learned. It's all new people, but it's the same thing. And I think it's because it's fueled by greed. Because um, football is the most visible thing. What's getting rid of a doctor? Like to them in their eyes. But it's really backfiring at this point on them, and it's kind of juicy and it's exciting to see. Um, Now, just to talk a little bit about Penn State football before we move on to the next topic, we know the last 2 years their 4 losses have been to Ohio State and Michigan. They can't get over the Buckeye and Wolverine hump. Now they
Nope.
only play Ohio State this year. They miss Michigan. But just a quick overall kind of synopsis of what you think of Penn State heading into this 2024 season.
I think that there is a lot of promise. You have Drew Aller coming back. I mean, you have Drew Aller starting quarterback. You
Yeah.
have Katron Allen, Nick Singleton. That's really going to open up the passing game.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I don't. Who do you know who their new offensive coordinator is?
No, I can't remember right now. No.
So hopefully, their new offensive coordinator gets more creative than the last one. I
He's
think it
gonna
was.
need to because
Yeah.
their offense was approaching Iowa levels last year, bro.
Oh yeah, definitely. I don't think they put up 10 points against Ohio State, and they barely put up anything against Michigan.
You're right.
So they're gonna have to. They're gonna. Plus, they have the best. This is possibly going to be the best quarterback they have had in a while, and the best backfield they've had in a while. They
Oh
have.
yeah,
I just saw the rankings for running backs this year, and Katron Allen and Nick Singleton are both in the top 10. So too much talent in that backfield to waste. Too much talent in the offense to waste. They have Julian Fleming who
right.
transferred from Ohio State, who's more than likely going to be their number one, their wide receiver one.
Without
Um,
question.
the one thing that may hold them back, a
Hmm.
big piece was the loss of defensive coordinator Manny
Mandy.
Diaz.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean he was really good. Like
Very.
that secondary was they were close to being elite.
Yeah.
I mean their
Yep.
defense and they have those edge rushers too. Chop
Yeah.
Robinson, Amir Abdullah,
Right.
um, but they still have a good amount of defensive players coming back. So
Right. They
depending on
lost
who the
those
defensive
guys.
coordinator is, the scheme, they could take a step back. But I s- I see them making the playoffs, but I don't think they beat
Whoa.
Ohio State.
So okay, yeah. Now they do have a fairly easy schedule. They miss Oregon. They miss Michigan. Um, I haven't, overlooked their schedule completely, but I know they missed some of the big dogs that are expected to compete for the conference this year. Those are the two top teams, basically,
They're
besides
pro-
Ohio State, of course.
yeah, they're probably so ecstatic that they're not playing Michigan. I was at the Michigan Penn State game,
Sure,
and I remember seeing Kenneth Grant
it was insane.
chasing down. I think it was Nick Singleton.
Yeah,
Yeah, he chased down Nick Singleton, and I was just like, "Isn't this dude like 340?
yeah,
run
350.
run like he's a linebacker or something?"
Freak of nature chasing him
Yeah,
down, man. That's wild to think about. Hey, Rand City, what's up, brother? Yeah, we got some Clemson, Georgia coming up here in a little bit, but before we get to that, we're just wrapping up Penn State. It's going to be interesting, man. I see them probably hitting that ceiling again, probably in that 10-2 range at Penn State.
but they'll make
Um,
the playoffs. They'll make the playoffs.
that would be enough to make the playoffs. That would be. But we'll see, man. We'll see if Franklin survives this. To be honest, we'll see. He's in hot water, bro, and it'll be interesting to see if the media cranks it up or not. I
But
really hope they do.
here's the one thing we got to look at.
Yeah.
That doctor won $5 million, which proves that there was wrongdoing.
Oh, 100% with all the testimonies.
Yeah,
No, you're dead on. That's spot on, bro. Franklin is under fire, and it proves he there was guilt. There was guilt there for sure, especially with all the players, testifying against him, and the doctors as well as coaching staff.
wait, players testified against him.
Yeah, former players.
Oh,
Yeah, former players too. Yep. Yo, he totally does, man. He's hopefully not what Ryan Day is becoming. I don't think Ryan Day is stooping to that level, but it's potential. We've discussed that on our videos this week on the channel for sure. Will he step up to the plate or not, Ryan Day? But moving on from that topic at Penn State, we see this everywhere, bro. On MGO blog, on the social medias, on TV, on call-in shows. Everybody says, yes, Ohio State won the offseason, but big whoop. Are they buying their championship? Is Ohio State buying the championship or attempting to buy a championship? I got
so
thoughts, but I'll let you share your thoughts first.
you can't quite say that they're buying a championship yet. First, we need to see what the regular season record is, and we need to see where they at, how it ends up.
Yeah, that's getting ahead of it. Yeah.
You know who's trying to buy a championship? Texas A&M, the Miami
Miami.
Hurricanes.
Yeah.
Those are two prime examples who are trying to buy a championship. It failed for Texas A&M, but here's the thing though: Texas A&M didn't even get a 500 record.
Yeah.
And with
Jimbo
all
really monstrously
Oh,
failed there.
yeah, he really failed. Now, I don't see that the case with Ryan Day. What I see is, and here's a big factor, like you got to look at the staff that he's put together. Not
Oh,
only
yeah.
is Ryan Day's not an elite coach yet, he hasn't taken that step. He's a good coach. I guarantee you, if Ohio
Yes.
State lets him go, that a lot of other programs will be lined up to take him really quick. But You got to look at the staff. You have Larry Johnson. Yes, he's old, but he's still one of the best defensive line coaches. You
Mhm.
have Tim Walton, who's putting in work,
Mhm.
trying to
In the
make Ohio
secondary.
State back to DBU to what they were in the Meyer era. And you have Brian Hartline bringing in 5-star wide receiver after 5-star wide receiver. You have Chip Kelly, who is, I guarantee you, he's going to really turn the offense around.
Okay.
Um, James Laurinaitis, I could see him pulling his weight. Jim Knowles, very skeptical his first year there, but he's really helped turn the defense around.
Mhm.
So
It was
I think that the right staff is in place. Now it's time to produce the results. And
right.
and so what I think Ohio State is doing is they're just adapting, they're understanding the NIL game.
Yeah,
They're
for sure.
they're understanding the NIL game and they're obviously capitalizing on it.
Well, the big thing is you mentioned the coaching staff that's been amassed now, which has become elite. Rancy, we'll get to your comment in a second here, but we also brought in Ross Bjork, who was the former AD at Texas A&M. So it seems like we are seriously adapting to the NIL era, and that we're going to be one of those programs that kind of pays the big money, because that's what Bjork organized down at Texas A&M. But my counterpoint to buying wins is, dude, we had 11 draft eligible players that were high draft round projections return, not including other starters that were lower end. Yes, we brought in Caleb Downs. That was definitely a bidding war between Georgia, Oregon, and Ohio State. Don't get me wrong. Everybody wanted Caleb Downs.
Yeah.
But there is so much returning talent on this team, both on offense and defense, that makes me think maybe in the future we might be buying, potentially buying a roster. But it's the way things are run now. If you look at the Alabamas, how Oregon's doing it, like you said, Miami, Texas A&M, shoot, even Florida with Cormani
I forgot about that.
McLean,
I forgot about that.
and so teams are doing this thing and they're pointing the finger and laughing. Yet Ohio State is returning so much talent that started last year, that won 11 games 2 years in a row, that made the playoffs, that made a NY6 bowl game last year and got humiliated. But this is a team that, one, had a ton of returning talent and, yes, filled their holes. Keep in mind, we only added 6 players from the portal. They were high-profile players, but there were only 6. Many people act like we brought in 14 players from the portal, like we're pulling a Colorado or something, and that's just not the case. This is not the case. We're not pulling Dion out here. We're not prime time, and I, you know, there's enough to the argument that it makes sense why people would say it, but to Rand City's point, he says, while I do agree that Ohio State is buying their wins, so is basically everyone, like you said, Rob. So it's adapting. It's understanding what the new era is. Georgia is going to be all in NIL like they have been since 2021. Alabama is certainly going to be all in with NIL, and I don't see that being a problem as long as they're not shelling out huge amounts to high school players, which I disagree with in the past. But it's legal now, so I'm a
Here's
little
the thing.
torn.
Here's the thing, though. You can spend all the money that you want, but
Right?
you can't always buy wins, though. So
Chemistry.
sure, make fun of the team who tries to who buys players and doesn't get wins. But don't call it a team when they're just who's actually winning, is actually producing results. But yes, they're
Sure.
trying to get big money, but they're actually producing results. They're just adapting to today's game. Like, you get what I'm saying?
That's a clear distinction. Like you said, Miami and Texas A&M, they've been trying this, and it ain't been working out for them. and I don't see them turning a corner anytime soon. Ohio State has stayed elite and stayed relevant. Now they need to get over the hump of the hump, and obviously get their first playoff win since 2020. So that's a monkey that Ryan Day has to get off his back. But I think he has the roster that's certainly capable. And
And
now one
he's finally getting the right coaches in place.
yes, I hope so. I think so. I agree with you. Um, Fry still to be determined though. As we know, we haven't discussed for Justin Fry, our offensive line coach, on this podcast. So yeah, man, a lot of people have been saying. I heard it all over today as well, and I just wanted to address that real quick. Okay, okay, Rancy, that's fair. Hey, that's fair. A lot of people are saying that Chip Kelly, he was good 10 years ago, and I kind of get that point. He's still an offensive innovator. He just didn't have the talent at UCLA.
No.
And the thing that alleviates a little pressure for us Buckeye fans is Ryan Day is a micromanager, much like Urban Meyer was, and he really struggled to let go of play calling. But Chip Kelly was his mentor, and I think and he was his college coach at New Hampshire, and he was under him at Philadelphia and San Francisco. I think he delegates and trusts Chip Kelly enough to actually let go of the reins in the play calling, where Day has mightily struggled in tense situations. He's tensed up like we've discussed before, and I think finally he's got the guy on staff that he'll be able to trust fully. So.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an interesting topic there, man. I would disagree to an extent. I would agree to an extent, but to your point, chemistry is such a crucial thing, man. And you can't buy chemistry. You just can't. You have to have a good culture, and Ohio State's culture's been attacked a lot, but I think they have a strong one. Now into some spreads came out recently. The Clemson Georgia game we all know is being played in Atlanta this year. We all despise neutral site games. We think they're the bane of college football, but they certainly aren't going anywhere, and they're continuing to be scheduled. I'm glad Clemson and Georgia are playing. A 13-point Georgia spread was announced yesterday. What are your initial thoughts on Clemson versus Georgia?
I think it's going to be a lot worse for
Me
Clemson.
too.
I
Me
think it's going to
too.
be a lot worse. I mean, if you look at Clemson football's landscape recently,
Right.
it's just it keeps falling behind.
Sure.
It really does. They just don't have the same talent that they have, especially the wide receivers. I mean,
Yeah.
look at the wide receivers who they used to
Oof.
get for their quarterbacks.
Right.
Ridiculous. Like
Immense talent that
Sammy
position.
Watkins, DeAndre Hopkins, you got T. Higgins,
T.
you
Higgins.
got Mike Williams,
Yep.
you got Justin
Ooh,
Ross.
I forgot about him. Good
Yeah,
recollection, bro.
I mean you had a lot of elite wide receivers, but
They're
it just seems like, and plus like you, you're having players transfer out, but you're not getting players to transfer in. He's not
right.
playing the transfer portal. He's like, oh, I'm gonna recruit well. I'm gonna build my roster. But these recruits are transferring out a
Sure.
year or two after.
And of course, we
So
know
he's
we
kind
lost
of he's
Venables.
contradicting himself. And the
He
loss of
is.
Brent Venables. I don't
Yep.
know how this Garrett Riley's gonna work out at offensive coordinator. It doesn't
Mhm.
They have a good quarterback. They have Cade Klubnik. You know,
He really struggled last year,
he
though.
he benched because what are his weapons?
No, without question.
Where's this? I mean, Garrett Riley's supposed to be this innovative offensive coordinator. I didn't see it. He's not. I don't even think he's an upgrade. Like there's all this talk. Oh, he was the offensive coordinator for TCU. He's Lincoln Riley's brother. He's going to be the next great offensive mind. I just
Sure.
didn't see it.
Sure. Let's talk about Georgia for a second. We know their defense is always going to be elite under Kirby, and it took a couple years. I might be mistaken on this, but from a casual, a Georgia observer, for the first couple years of Kirby's career, it took some time for the offense to come along. Jake Fromm struggled in key moments in games, but once they got Stetson Bennett and now they got Carson Beck, obviously Beck is a baller. They got that run game that is almost unmatched in college football. Um, they're a team that I really see going in Atlanta, especially because it's in Georgia. And I really see them putting the hurting on them, bro.
Oh yeah,
Um,
definitely.
like eh, it's just they're two programs going in opposite directions right now, like complete opposite directions. And I don't see a saving grace for Clemson. I see them continuing to slide. Rand City says Clemson is one of the most overrated teams in college football.
Now they are. Before they were not. I mean,
Yeah,
they had a very impressive run. Let's be honest.
yeah.
But now they are.
They they did have a nice run from 2013 to 2019. It was elite, with Taj Boyd and Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence and company, along with the receivers you mentioned, the defensive players you mentioned, just Brian Breezy, other ridiculous studs on the defensive line, Isaiah Simmons and the like. Um, but they really have fallen off the map. And I truthfully, I'm going to put a gauge out there. I truthfully think they could win by 24 or more, and that might be putting it lightly.
Clemson still has some good defensive players, but
They do,
I think they're
but
gonna get tired.
their scheme has fallen off because, to your point that you just mentioned, they don't. Their offense can't, keeps putting their defense on the field and in bad situations, and so the defense will tire, like we saw in Ohio State Missouri bowl game. I see Georgia really, really taking it to them, bro, and I don't see. I'm not a college football guru. It's my favorite sport. I followed it a lot, but I don't see Clemson being able to hang in this ball game. In no matter how bad Georgia starts, I still see Georgia blowing them out.
We may see a repeat of the Georgia Florida State game,
Sure.
like 63 to nothing at halftime. I'm not
Yeah.
joking, you guys. I'm who's ever watching. I'm not
Wow.
joking. I'm not joking either. Like
Woo.
we
Putting it on
have
paper.
we have seen what Georgia can do to teams. All
Oh
right.
yeah.
I guarantee you Dabo's gonna say something stupid in the press
He will.
and he's gonna eat his words. Just like he called that one year called Ohio State the number 11 team
In the
number
nation.
11 ranked team in the nation.
When we mollywopped them in the playoffs 49
Uh-huh.
to 28.
Exactly.
Yeah, bro. Wow. I don't think I could go as far as saying maybe 63 to nothing. I would say a 24-point win easily for the Bulldogs coming up in Atlanta. That game
I
is
don't know, man. Look at Clemson's offense. They
it's
like
putrid.
Kate Klubnik is just it.
He's
Like
the
that
only skill player they got on that
he's the
offense right
only
now.
skill player.
Yeah, bro. It's it could ooh, dude, Clemson. That would be glorious for us Buckeye fans. And all of college football for that matter. If that happens, if it's not just an embarrassment, but an ultra embarrassing game for the Tigers, bro, then
Yeah.
everything we've been saying in our lives in this offseason is going to come to fruition a lot quicker. And the Clemson faithful are going to turn on Dabo that haven't turned yet. If they get fully embarrassed on national TV, the people that are still defending him and still defending his aw shucks persona and his transfer portal, regulations, everybody in the Clemson fan base will be turning on him at that point.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean the 2015 to 2020 run is it's drying up real quick.
Oh, please let that happen, bro. Hopefully we'll be at your place for that, watching that. That's the opening weekend game. That'll be phenomenal to watch the quick and swift downfall of Dalvin Sweeney and the Clemson Tigers. Grant City says any conference where Florida State is the best team is not a good conference.
I don't know, like Florida State was a legit like even though they got completely embarrassed by Georgia, I mean Keon Coleman was a dog. Like that
They had some dogs, and the quarterback was pretty good. And obviously, he broke his leg in the second to last game, or maybe it was third to last game. But as Big Ten and SEC fans, we definitely look down on the ACC. Um, we are both conferences are far above.
really
Interesting. Okay.
You didn't Grant City, you didn't think much you didn't think Keon Coleman was an elite wide receiver?
He straight torched LSU that
Yeah,
night.
he
He had
did.
like 3, 4 touchdowns that first game.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I was like, whoever, because I saw him playing against Michigan when he's at Michigan State. I'm like, if this dude transfer ever gets him, they're getting a weapon. There's no
yeah,
doubt
we
about it.
we were more keen to him because we knew about him from MSU, but nothing I haven't seen before. Well, sure, certainly, yeah. You've had the likes of AJ Green and um, Lad McConkey and some other elite wide receivers, and obviously your tight end Brock Bowers. Man, what a weapon he was. Um, but yeah, no, the SEC has had some elite wide receivers, especially LSU
In
um, and
Alabama,
Alabama, of course. Yeah,
especially
and so
Alabama.
yeah, especially Alabama. Well, yeah, that's
I
true.
mean, LSU did had Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase.
Oh yeah, bro, and
So,
uh, and some other guys I'm blanking on before their times. But yeah, man, they're
well, they
yeah,
also
no,
had Terrace. Was it is it Terrence Marshall?
I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah, they had some elite talent. Um,
and they
it's
had
it's but the thing is, their defenses weren't wasn't as competitive, and there was no elite offense in the ACC last year besides maybe FSU. Obviously we talked about Clemson already. Virginia Tech has completely fallen off the map. We're talking about you know Syracuse in the ACC. Like what? Like just no offenses to compete. And so to Rand City's point, there wasn't a lot of competition last year in the ACC. It was Florida State's conference to lose once it was revealed what Clemson was. And so yeah, it's definitely easy for us to look down the ACC though. Like the Big Ten and SEC are clearly superior conferences. There's no question in that. So I'll agree with Rand City's point on that one. That'll be an interesting matchup to watch. Rand City, maybe chime in on this one. Yeah, for the next 10 years. Yeah, interesting. He says, I honestly don't see an ACC national champ for at least 10 years. What are your thoughts on that one, Rob?
I mean, I think it's pretty accurate. I mean, other than Florida State right now, who is there? I don't see North Carolina. I mean, if North Carolina
Nope.
couldn't get it done with the talent that they had over the year, or the last couple of years, then they're just never going to get it done.
Yeah, with that Mac Brown hiring was an interesting hire. He's certainly on his way out. People negatively recruit him for his age against that school because Mac Brown is so old. Um,
Hmm.
Outside of that, North Carolina, NC State has a year every once in a while, but certainly not on the national championship level. Wake Forest, they were good under Hartman, but nowhere. They completely fallen off the map once he left. I would agree with that. 10 years, no
Yeah,
ACC championship. Shoot, let's be honest, bro. There might not even be the ACC in 10 years if we're really looking at the circumstances of college football and the way things are headed. But
yeah.
we kind of discussed that a little bit last week. But
Wasn't Florida State looking to move anyways?
they filed an injunction trying to get out of the ACC.
Isn't Clemson trying to move as well?
I don't there's just been rumors that the Big Ten would take them or the SEC would take them, but I don't think they've done anything against the conference and filing against the conference or anything like that. So yeah, that's kind of interesting, but we'll see. We'll see where things go. But I would agree that no champion, no national champion is coming out of the ACC for the next decade, right? I'm sure you guys don't, and especially um, because I mean, shoot, Florida State before last year had not won a single. Oh no, I'm mistaken. I'm mistaken. I was thinking Miami, Florida. Obviously, Florida State won the ACC in 2013 under Jameis Winston and crew. But I know they're a
They
despised
won the
team and a
national
hated team
championship
down
under
there.
him.
Yeah, no, they won the national championship with them. That's what I was saying. Um, and so, yeah, I can see why people hate Florida State. They see them as a program that only rises up every so often. So that makes sense. I know with Uncle Lou's channel, following him a little bit, he really, really despises Florida State, and it seems like you do as well, Rain City. So I get that. That's awesome. Moving on to the next topic. Um, let's do this one. I'll switch it up a little bit to get people laughing at us a little bit, and to reveal a little bit of our pain from future or from years gone by. There's many to choose from in our lifetime. I'm not saying you have to nail it down to one. You can name a couple if you want to. But what is your most painful loss as an Ohio State Buckeye fan? Which one hurt the most, man?
Oh man. Uh I have like four, so
Okay, you name two and I'll name two then. And then I'll call back to you.
all right. So the first one is the Florida Ohio State game in that BCS national championship game. It seemed like Ohio State was gonna go in there and win the game, but they just got absolutely blitzed. I think they lost. I mean, to top it off, I mean, you see Ted Ginn Jr. run it,
Yep.
like take back the kickoff for about 102 yards, and then all
Yeah.
of a sudden he's out. He pulled his hamstring and he's done. And Ohio
I
State
broke his
ends up
foot.
losing like 42-12 or whatever.
41-14.
Yeah,
That
41-14. That's
score's
just
ingrained in my memory.
that's terrible.
We were
Uh,
on cloud nine for that one. Like there was nothing any fan base could tell us after we beat Michigan in the game of the century, quote unquote. Like we were flying high, and then we returned the opening kick, bro. Like there's nothing anybody could say to us until Florida absolutely blitzed us the rest of that game and
yeah.
silenced us. Number two, what you got?
I'd have to say losing to Michigan State in the Big Ten championship game in 2013. Had they won
2013.
that game, they would have went to the national championship.
Sure. We were on a 24 game win streak at that point.
And can I say one more since I was at this other game?
Oh, sure. That hurts even more.
Michigan's Ohio State, Michigan State, 2015, and my buddy and I, we were pretty much in the corner of the end zone where the field goal went in the last second. It was so depressing walking out of the horseshoe. You could hear a pin drop. It was that quiet.
Yeah.
And yeah, but go on.
Being
Your
in
turn.
there in person hurts a lot more, bro, because you experience all the emotion. Um, you see, like you said, dead silent, piling out of the horseshoe. Undisputed season gone, playoffs gone before it even started. For me, um, this is one that I thought I got over initially really quickly. I thought I did, but it's pained me. The Clemson 2019 playoff game, and many Buckeye fans have an the memory of the overturned return fumble for a touchdown in that game as
Yep.
kind of the death knell, and and it was a horrific call. Um, but it hurt more because it was in the ref's hands. But the thing that irks me about that game is the overthrow to Dobbins, uh, close to the goal line. We got in the red zone inside the 10-yard line twice and couldn't score touchdowns. And ultimately, that is what cost us the game, in my humble opinion. Everybody remembers the fumble return because that was at the game. That was at the end of the game, the climax of the game. And they're not wrong in defending that case. That absolutely was a monumental call. But Ohio State was crushing Clemson, and they couldn't capitalize on touchdowns and had to settle for field goals. To Rand City's point, the Georgia game, I mean, yeah, that hurt a little bit. We had the game seemingly won, and the Marvin Harrison hit and all that. No, no targeting in the end zone.
But we weren't
Um,
expected to be close or anything.
right there, we Ohio State was honestly playing with free money in that game because we just got embarrassed by Michigan in our home stadium a couple weeks prior, and once again, Ohio State did have the opportunities in that one. But for me, it's the Michigan 2021 game because I knew eventually the streak would come to an end. I knew it would come in a big game too. I always knew it would. It wouldn't just come back in a year where it was, just a minimal loss for Ohio State. I knew it would come in a crushing way. And the way that Michigan pounded us on the ground in that football contest was one of the most demoralizing football games I've ever watched. One, because we could not do anything to stop the run, and two, because it was Michigan.
Yeah.
That was a painful one, man. That was a
Yeah.
painful one for me. It shifted the rivalry, and we haven't recovered yet since. What
Oh,
else we
there.
got on the most painful losses?
Let's see. 2014 lost to Virginia Tech at home. That was
Interesting.
that dude. That was embarrassing.
That was
I just
three out
did.
of
I
four.
just did not see that coming. I
That
just
Bear
didn't.
defense, bro.
Yeah. Um, 2016 Penn State. That block field goal ran it back,
That was a soul crushing
and that
loss.
won the game. Uh, there was 2018 just getting embarrassed by Purdue at night.
I was at that game
Oh, you were.
with Matt. Yeah, with Matt.
Oh, that's right, you were. Man, that
Yeah,
had to
sure
be rough
was.
seeing what's his face just go absolutely
Rondell Moore.
nuts. Yep, Rondale Moore going for what did he go for, like 300 plus yards?
He absolutely tortured us and announced himself to college football.
Yeah. I would also have to say I would have to say 2022 Michigan uh Ohio State. I mean, that was just a very sad second half. It was just really embarrassing, especially the last 8 minutes of the game. And then
No joke.
2023, Michigan, Ohio State, a lot was on the line. I had high hopes. This is going to be the year that Ohio State gets it back on track.
Sure.
But I knew at like I pretty much knew at like halftime that we may not win this game to one of Ryan Day's decision. And the 2021 Oregon game. Uh, I think
That one was just flat out embarrassing.
it just made me realize that okay, the defense is gonna suck.
Yeah, defense is gonna blow.
It's gonna be the offense that gets Ohio State through the year.
That honestly should have been the signal to us that Michigan was gonna destroy us, like they eventually did, because we could not stop Oregon's run game to save anything. They
Yeah.
had Anthony, whatever his name was. They ran for over 250, 300 yards on us, and then Michigan did the exact same thing a couple months later. But that was in our house. That one hurt. Yeah,
Um, and just going back to the 2022 Michigan Ohio State game, made me realize how much the secondary just sucked. Just awful. Cam Martinez, J.K. Johnson, Cam Johnson. Who
sure.
else was there that was just awful?
Yeah, Lathan
Um,
Ransom, Cam Martinez, like you said.
yeah, just oh, Cam Martinez. I remember I remember he didn't even get on the bus for the Michigan Ohio
2023.
State game in 2023, and that
No,
was
it's
like the
true.
one thing that all Buckeye fans agreed on was he should not be on the field at any time whatsoever.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it's we can laugh about the losses now, because they're in the rearview
Oh,
mirror, but
one
golly, were
more,
they
one
painful.
more. I think it was Terrell Pryor's first. It was one
Wisconsin,
of the prior years where they lost to Wisconsin. If they would have won that game, they would have been to the national championship.
2010 in Madison, Madtown, Wisconsin.
Yep.
Terrell Pryor's junior season, yep. That was the only loss of the season. Destroyed Arkansas. Actually, not destroyed them. Beat them in a close game in the Sugar Bowl to end the year. But yeah, that one in Madtown, 31-18. I remember. I don't know why I remember scores like this, but I just do. They stick with me for some reason. Yeah, man, it's crazy to look back on some of those losses. Like it's just wild to think about, how many what if seasons, and even over the last three, we've had a lot of what if seasons. Hopefully, 2024 be a year much better. Moving on to the last topic of the evening. Antoine Winfield Jr. just became last week the highest paid defensive back in the National Football League. Now, Winfield Jr., for those who don't know, his father played at Ohio State, was a two-time consensus All-American, obviously had an amazing NFL career, undersized, and Urban Meyer never recruited him because one, he was a three-star, and two, he was quoted as saying after he camped at Ohio State, he does not look like an Ohio State defensive back. He's 5'9", and Luke Fickell was begging Urban Meyer to recruit him, and Urban basically flat out told him, "I'm not recruiting this guy." And he ended up balling at Minnesota, and obviously he's balling with the Tampa Bay Bucks. Won a Super Bowl with them. Is that one of the biggest misses, or didn't it really matter in the grand scheme of things at Ohio State? That is,
I don't know, man. I mean, he was the class of 2016. If he would have stuck around, he'd be competing. I mean, he would be competing with Marshall Lattimore, Gary
sure,
Conley,
right?
uh,
Jordan
you
Fuller.
know, yeah, Jordan Fuller. Uh, you had God, what's his face? Uh, Denzel Ward.
Yep.
You had Denzel Ward. You had Arnett. You just had he would have been competing with a good amount of first round defensive backs. Now,
Yeah.
would he
It
have
worked.
seen
Go
if
ahead.
I think he would have rode the bench.
Okay, that's fair enough. I mean, honestly, it worked out really well for both parties. Like Ohio State clearly had talent at the position; they were not lacking for talent. Jeff Okuda was there too, and
Yeah,
it's just one of those things that it worked out. I was really bummed, but he was a low ranked 3-star because he was 5'9". But um, I know that Urban has kind of retroactively said, "I wish I had recruited him. He's a dog." He ended up causing problems for us while he was in Minnesota in a close game. But but yeah, it really worked out for both parties. So it's just an interesting tidbit. Somebody actually brought that up on 11 Warriors, and it turned into like 100 comment, um, 100 comment discussion there on 11 Warriors. But yeah, I wanted to bring that to the discussion table today. Antoine Winfield, congrats, salute to you for sticking to it and working hard, improving your craft, and becoming the highest played defensive back in the NFL.
and I just wanna elaborate what I was saying.
Yeah,
He would have there. Obviously, there was a lot of promise with him, but I mean, I think that you know there's just so it's kind of like the wide receiver room now. There's a lot of talented players, but not everyone's gonna get to play.
sure, sure, sure. Not everybody has. Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's a great comparison. The wide receiver room, because BIA right now, our cornerbacks and our wide receiver room on the hard line is just at a whole different level, bro. What they can do in practice against each other is insane.
It's
Nobody else
gonna
can offer that.
the defensive back room is gonna be the same, but let's stay with what's going on Winfield.
Yeah, for sure,
uh,
for sure.
but yeah, congrats to Winfield. You know you proved everyone wrong. You obviously proved Ohio State wrong. Now
Yep.
you're the highest paid cornerback in the league. So
4 years, $84 million contract for Antoine Winfield Jr. Boy is eating out there. He really is eating, and he comes from a family that was eating. So
yeah, that's
respect and
that's
props to
that's
him.
21 million a year.
Yeah, bro. That's no joke, man. That's no joke. He doesn't compare to the MLB and no salary cap, and
Yeah.
contracts that are
It,
getting made there.
if
But
people
still,
wa- if people watch this full video, they can be like, a Buckeye fan knows math. No way.
they probably will. Where'd you get that education, huh? Yeah, man, it's crazy. But yeah, that's that's kind of what we got for tonight. We do want to go into championship before we jump off. Um, my champion and chump is pretty simple. We talked about him on tonight's broadcast. The chump, James Franklin. What are you doing, bro? You can't be doing that. And I hope you do get fired. Now, part of me loves having you in the conference because you can't get over the hump, and you are an arrogant jerk, and so it's really fun to beat you in Penn State. But you truthfully deserve to get fired for this. Champ, bro. We just talked about him. Just got done talking about Antoine Field making that bag, bro. Respect for his hard work and dedication. He's fully earned it. He fully has. He's a dog on the field for the Tampa Bay Bucks, and it'd be interesting to see what Baker Mayfield and the Bucks can do this year.
All right, my chump of the week. I'm gonna go with what you said, James Franklin. Complete disgrace. The type of the type of attention you give the university. Once again, when it seems like Penn State's gonna take a step further, they're about to take a step back because this is not something that's gonna get swept underneath the rug.
Yeah.
Like I said, if the doctor won money, that means that there was some type of wrongdoing. That is admission
Mhm.
of guilt.
Mhm.
Now, will they go after James Franklin? Only time will tell. But I think that there's a big chance that he could be fired. All right, champ of the week. Champ of the week. Uh, I honestly don't know.
No, that's fair. That's all
Actually,
good.
no,
You
no,
only
no, no,
got one.
no. The champ of the week is, gosh, who? Oh yeah, the Dallas Mavericks. They're the champ of the
Ooh,
week. It seems like they're finally gonna get over the hump. Luca and Kyrie, they're playing their best basketball together right now.
sure.
Um, it seems like they're gonna get over the hump and go to the NBA Finals for the first time since 2011, where they upset the power team that Miami Heat was, consisting of
Yep.
LeBron James, Chris Bosh, and Dwayne Wade.
Heck yeah, bro. Yeah, I'm excited for them, man. Like, I kind of was rooting for Mike Conley in Ohio State, alum in Minnesota, but I'm kind of on the fence with Ant Edwards. He's got a pretty cocky mouth, man, and I don't know how I feel about that.
Oh yeah, he does. He's extremely cocky, but he's really good too. So
He
that's what
does
makes it
back
even
it
more
up,
annoying.
right? People are calling him little MJ, and we'll see how that goes. But yeah, we'll see how that he's got some work to do. But anyway, that's gonna do it for tonight here on Buckeyes Battle Cry Live. We hope you enjoyed it, man.
Oh
Don't
yeah, we
forget,
we we have an announcement. So
yes,
catch us June 10th. What's the channel? Is it Big Ten
Big Ten
Rivals?
team rivalry show
Catch us on there. What time's it at?
at 8 p.m. Monday, June 10th. We'll be on the Michigan channel discussing all things the game, all things college football, and more as we duke it out with some Michigan fans. It's gonna be fun to discuss the rivalry and all that it entails, especially since we live in Michigan and have great experience with it. Um, so yeah, it'll be interesting. We'll see you guys again. We got some more videos coming up next week. That's gonna do it for today's Buckeye Battle Cry Live. We hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you on the next one. Take
All
care,
right,
Rob. You have a
later.
good night, all
Yep.
right, brother?
You too, brother.
All right.
Later.
Later.